Hello and welcome. You know what time it is. It is Monday, and we are coming at you with another episode of Lead, Laugh, Love. If you're new around here, what we've got set up here is an improv talk show. 100% unscripted. The only thing we've got set up today is a little bit of homework. So the setup here is chatting about the philosophy of social media, the good, the bad, the amazing, and everything in between. And the anchor point of that conversation is a recent Netflix documentary, The Social Dilemma. So hopefully you've done your homework and have checked out The Social Dilemma. That's what we're going to be chatting about today. And essentially all I'm going to do is give you guys the host of the show, which today is going to be Alex B Sheridan. You are the host of this show. And as soon as the other side of this intro hits, we're going to have some amazing, brilliant masterminds share their expertise on the subject. And then in the middle of the show, we're going to open up the portal for you guys. So there is going to be an opportunity for you to join and jump on the show on cam, on mic. Please stick around for that. Without further ado, please enjoy Lead, Laugh, Love.
What you gonna do?
What you gonna do? What's up, guys? You gotta love that intro.
I love it so much.
And look at JP and Ravi come in the last minute, just like LeBron in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, go Lakers. Congratulations.
He was better when he played for Miami. Just saying.
Big win. Big win.
JP, did you ever watch Dexter's Laboratory as a kid?
I did. I was a huge fan.
Your glasses remind me of Dexter.
And your audio reminds me of like a radio from the 60s. What's going on?
Yes. Robbie, it's bad. It's bad.
Is it?
Yeah, bro.
All right, one sec.
It sounds like you're in the other room trying to talk to us. Can't hear you now. All right. Well, while Robbie's figuring out his audio, we're gonna. There he is.
Better.
He's back.
Yeah.
He's back.
Hey, Travis, we found the problem.
It could have been sabotaged by Brian. I don't know. Who knows? All right, guys. Welcome to Lead, Laugh, Love. We're talking about something that I think is on the mind of a lot of people, especially everyone on LinkedIn, YouTube, any social platform. And that is, and coming off that movie, Social Dilemma, that most people saw on Netflix, where they kind of highlighted a lot of the bad stuff, to be honest, about social media and what it's doing to our culture and kids and everyone. So we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the good, the bad, and the amazing of social media. So let's start with the good. And I think that when I think of the good, I think of like more of the business stuff. What's the practical reasons to get on LinkedIn? When I think of the bad, I think about what are the implications, though? What is it doing to our self-esteem and society and that kind of stuff? And then the amazing, for me, I think is like the relationships, the personal growth, that kind of stuff. So let's start with the good. Ravi, hit us with the good of social media practically. Why should people even get on it in the first place?
ABS, aka Abs, aka the Terminator, aka Alex. I was giving myself time to think. You see what I did there? So I think for me personally, if I think about what happened at the beginning of lockdown, I remember very specifically that on March 22nd, 23rd, I started a 30-day video challenge on LinkedIn. And I'd never really been active on the platform before. And I can honestly say I've met so many amazing people, like all of you guys, right? If I had never started posting on LinkedIn, we would have never met. It would be good if Brian and I had never met, but us three would have never met. And realistically, oh yeah. So the truth is I've hopefully met friends who are like-minded, friends who are truly on the same journey as me, and are also, one thing about LinkedIn, I think JP said this before, but it's kind of like a campfire vibe where it's different to other platforms. Everybody is a lot more forthcoming, and there's not only business opportunities, but friendships that can grow from it. So I think if I hadn't been on LinkedIn during this time, man, I actually think being at home in quarantine, my mental health may have suffered more than somebody who is just on the platform every single day, just, I don't know, scrolling. Because actually, I think social media in this time has given me human connection that I craved, having been pulled out of an office environment.
Love it. I agree. I think it's kept us really plugged into a lot of people when otherwise we couldn't have been. We had to be, stationed in our house. Like we would never be talking if it was just we weren't on social media. No doubt about it. Yeah. JP is laying brick by brick the foundation of this conversation. Give us a brick to lay. What's the good? You've been on quite the journey. Media.
Yeah. Honestly, like I can't watch The Social Dilemma because I remember, Super Size Me. I was like hungry for McDonald's. Take Your Pills, the one about Adderall, I went and got a prescription. So I just feel like if I watch The Social Dilemma, it's just going to make me more addicted than I already am. So I'm avoiding it like a disease. But no, the great stuff about social media, like I feel like it gave me a voice for people that might be a little bit more introverted. Like I feel like it's a sanctuary, like you have a voice, especially like if you're not super comfortable with like public speaking, when we record our video content or whatever it is, like I'm not in a room full of people. I'm completely by myself, but I have the ability to record it on my own and then, put it out there for the community. So it just feels like a very safe place for somebody that is a little bit more introverted and allows you to develop kind of like some of those skills to become a little bit more extroverted. So it's been very transformational for me.
And really quickly, why when you watch something where they tell you not to do it and they tell you all the bad stuff involved, that makes you want to do it more? Is that like reverse psychology? What's going on there?
Like, I don't even think like it's just, a lot of these programs have biases, right? And I'd love to hear Brian's perspective on this because I feel like he'd be able to give, like more of an educated answer than I would. But I just feel like, I don't know. Anytime you watch those documentaries, I just always I wear a speculative hat because I'm just like, well, it's like one person's perspective. But I feel like as a whole, and I'd love to review at some point this Facebook actually responded to it and they went on attack. Yeah. So it'd be interesting to dive into that.
Yeah, because I don't think they felt well represented, right? They didn't think they showed certain sides where they were actually making progress or things that they're doing to try to help solve these problems, which I think is fair, Brian, what's your take, brother? How's it been good? Real quickly, how's it been good? And then we're going to get to the bad stuff. What do you think?
It's so good. I mean, I love you guys. This is like the coolest thing on the planet for me to make friends. I was living in San Francisco for 3 years, came down to LA, kind of started from scratch. No one really lives right by me. I do have some friends here, but I wouldn't trade you guys out for anything. And if we were sitting in front of each other at lunch right now, we wouldn't be on our phones or anything like that. I mean, these are good relationships that transcend social media, and I think we all agree with that.
Abs, I'm so with you, man. Like, I actually genuinely, I don't want to get soppy, right? But I actually genuinely really, really look forward to these calls.
Yes, me too.
I think we all are on a similar journey. We get each other, and we all actually want the best for one another. It's like, it is actually really freaking cool, man. Like, genuinely, last time I was like, yes, Mondays, 6:11 my time, 6:11 p.m. Like, I get to hang out with my friends and just talk. It's just so cool. Like, when else would you get that? When else would you get that?
Yeah, but Alex, I think one of the things that we should talk about on a serious note is social media is kind of like Ravi's face. Like, sometimes it makes you angry and sometimes it cheers you up. So hopefully that's a good segue for you. I don't know. Ravi's right now, his face is just making me mad.
I love the suave recovery from that. Just
puberty has struck.
Yeah.
Brian is so scripted, just like every single video of his. But anyway, sorry. Go on.
Hey, let's we're going to talk about the bad, but I want to make this interesting and specific, and I think it's going to be relevant for everyone listening. Not just the overall bad and what you think, but how has it been bad for you specifically We'll start with JP. Like, what has been the bad of social media for you?
It has been a I can't believe I'm saying it. It's a relationship destroyer. It's a relationship destroyer, honestly. Like you don't always do it on purpose, but like if you do I hope somebody in the audience or somebody that one of you guys has watched Westworld. Like like people in real life, they call me Westworld because it's like I'm constantly lost in this other world that is not, LinkedIn is a utopia. I have to say it. I'm totally going to screw up all of Travis's micro content because I have these bricks around me. But LinkedIn is a utopia. Like everybody's incredibly positive and supportive. Like real life isn't like that, in a social media environment where your reputation's on the line, you do find that most of the time people are not negative, because, like their boss can see this content. So there's overwhelming positivity. There's not a lot of politics. So you do find that the community is incredibly supportive, and to feel like you have that outside of this platform, not that often. So, I'd say that it's been a relationship killer for me because I get lost in it. The endorphins, like the good vibes, the good feels, everything that you guys have said, all of that resonates, and especially on LinkedIn. So sometimes I do get lost.
Brian, what about you in terms of relationships? Because here's how I look at it. I've said this before, but I think LinkedIn, like all social media platforms, is a great tool. But sometimes when we are on the tool too much and it's sort of taking advantage of us and it's capturing our times and pulling us away from relationships and it's really the one in control, then who's really the tool? Is it us or is it LinkedIn? And I think that's something that we honestly have to reflect on, because I know for myself, there are times when I spend too much time on here. And whether it's time I need to be spending with my kids or family or friends or in my business doing other things, there are times when I reflect and I say, I'm spending too much time on here. I need to take a step back and reprioritize. What do you think, Brian?
Yeah, totally agree. But this like driving a car or I don't know, something that requires maturity. Social media is the same way. You have to take the responsibility and the discipline as yourself to set the boundaries. And I'm not saying, hey, I have it worked out, because I don't. I'll catch myself in my son's room playing blocks and like the LinkedIn notification pops up. It's something stupid. Like I was invited to some random event, but do I still check it? Sometimes I do. And guys, also, I think we're part of the problem because we are content creators that are trying to grab people's attention. So, I mean, I'm curious to know more about how everyone else feels, because I'm conflicted, like Robbie's face.
Well, that's why I do think I'm curious what you guys think, but that's why I do think it's important for people like us that do have some influence on this platform. Are the bricks good?
Yeah,
the bricks in position. Okay.
They're helping. Have you guys noticed that I've had no lag this episode? I swear these bricks are helping. Yeah,
it's the bricks for sure. It's the bricks. But that's why I think it's our responsibility in a way to talk about some of this stuff, the real stuff. To say, hey, you should take a break from LinkedIn. You should spend some time away. You should be in the moment, present with the people that you're with, instead of trying to check your notification. Like we're all guilty of that, and that's why I think we need to talk about that. The same way we need to talk about self-love and not relying on outside influences and opinions to validate how we feel about each other. I think these are the conversations that we need to be having, I think, early on in school, let alone like when we get out of school and then we're actually adults and applying it in real life. What do you guys think about that? Because isn't some of the bad of this whole social media, at least that this is the picture or the narrative that gets told, is that, and me and Brian were talking about this before the show, the suicide rate for kids, I think it was female teenagers, I believe was the demographic. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's gone dramatically up, right? Since social media. They showed the graph on that movie. How do you guys think about that type of stuff? The society or the impact on society that social media has when people, you think about that 14-year-old in class that posted a picture and maybe they get made fun of or they didn't get the likes that they want, and their emotional well-being, unfortunately, and even adults too, is tied up in how that post does or who likes it or who says something negative about it. What do you guys think about that?
I can't even imagine, because like if I'm 30 And I get tied up in the metrics and the likes and the comments. I can't even imagine like a young, impressionable person that's how they, tie in their identity. Like, that is insane. I never even looked at it from that perspective, but it's such a great point. Like, that side's a little dangerous. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is like, we just got our driver's license, the four of us. Now that our LinkedIn is picked up, we're getting a lot of love. We're still like in our training wheels driving this car that we're really not that mature on. So yeah, Alex, to your point, when you see spikes, like in the Social Dilemma, they talk about this massive spike of suicides and depression and mental disorders among young female teens and young male teens. The government needs to play a part. The government's role in society is to protect us. And when you see these massive spikes, something is wrong here that the government needs to jump in on. I don't think that 10-year-old or 12-year-old anybody, boys, girls, whoever, is capable with that sense of maturity. We're struggling with it I'm almost 40 years old and I struggle with it. So I can't tell you what young Brian, like John was saying, the young version of us would have been way worse and way more immature, and it would have mentally effed us up.
So Brian, you're president of the United States today. It's a scary thought, I know, right? Ravi would for sure be your VP. There's no question about it. He's ready.
Yeah.
He's the VP.
I'm not.
You're president today.
Yeah.
What's one step that you might take that you think might help curve the chart that we saw on suicide?
So Ravi would be like the Kevin Hart to my Rock, and I would just probably. It's hard. I can't answer that. I think there's even something to do at the local level, even within our own households, that I'm still trying to figure out. Let alone, I don't know what a president should do, but we're not even involved in our local politics. I don't know who's on the school board. I don't know. That's where it has to start. Is we can't think about this big picture. Let's think about it in the tiny solutions first.
But two things to say here. When Brian said, "Oh yeah, we've all." JP in a Ferrari, Brian, you're like in a beaten up Volvo, yeah? So you're going to need a service pretty soon. Point one. Point two is I've got this. There's somebody who we know, my girlfriend and I, we know, and her daughter, friend of a friend of a friend, her daughter was in a school. And the problem was that as she was growing up in that school, everybody was on Instagram. And a lot of the girls were going to these flashy restaurants, taking pictures, like flashy clothes and all this sort of stuff. And what ended up happening was that it leads to this feeling of, oh, that's what I need to now be popular. Before it was like, oh, you're great at soccer, you're great at football, whatever it might be. That was the popular. Now the validation comes from likes and comments, etc. And like Brittany said earlier in the comments, she actually deletes the app on the weekend, and she's had some pretty bad negative comments on here. If you read the comments, this is what Brittany said. And as you can imagine how that impacts us as adults, is it hurts. Imagine how it would feel for a 14-year-old who doesn't feel cool because she doesn't have the right amount of likes on her photo or isn't seen in the right restaurants. As a result, she changed schools and stuff like that. But it just like my mind blows, because back when I was that age, it was like MSN. Like Facebook came out when I got Facebook when I was like 18, 19. So it's like, it's just crazy, man. I like bringing, like, I'd love to know Brian's opinion on this. When when Benny is older, how would you police Instagram, Facebook? Would you allow him to get it? Would you not? Alex, the same with your kids, man. Like, what's your thoughts on that?
I think it starts the same way, like it would start with in the schools. I think you have to start young. Like, it has to start. I think if I was president or if I was the local officials, and this is something we need to consider as we vote for people, but I want somebody that's going to instill some of these life principles, these life skills that we need growing up in early on in school. Why don't we have a class in school that teaches people how to be successful at life, or teaches them how to get a job, or teaches them self-love or confidence? Why is that? Like just imagine, like, when we get older, all we do is talk about how every single thing pretty much comes down to confidence, the fear of failure, the lack of self-esteem, the worried about what other people are going to say. Yet we don't address any of this as kids. It doesn't make any sense. It's an issue as an adult. It's more of an issue as when you're kids. So to me, I think you address it as early as you can and you build a good foundation, because you can't control your kids every second of the day. Like when Benny gets a little bit older, my daughters get older, I can't sit around and say, okay, where are you going to go? I need to be there every second of the day. I can't try to like police their entire life. What I can do is give them a good foundation, a good belief system, a good structure to where they know who they are. They feel confident in who they are. They have a belief, you know, they're confident, they're kind, they're caring. They know how to go out, present themselves to the world. And so I think those are really the things that I think you've got to instill in the people that you're around and the people that you can impact, so that when they do go out there and face that inevitability of it's just social media and there's going to be parties and you're going to get into stuff, they're just better equipped and better able to handle those situations.
I actually think, though, somebody in the comments, I don't know who it was, Shabnam says there is so much pressure on teens and trolling is way harsher than LinkedIn. So actually, LinkedIn, where JP made a good comment about how it's connected to your career and business, you may show up in a very, very different way. Arguably, we are in a bubble. Because I know, like, I've been on Facebook, somebody's like, this guy is the rip-off version of Jay Shetty. I'm like, whoa. Like, it was like, it's different. Facebook and Insta has a different vibe. I guarantee you get a lot more keyboard warriors, same individual, who feels a lot more freer to express their opinions on IG, right? So actually, are we just in a bubble? Because
well, let me say this.
No.
I mean, we all got picked on at some point. Like I remember getting picked on a few times here and there in middle school, high school. Yeah. The one thing that would have been really helpful in that moment, maybe I couldn't control that senior that was picking on me, or threw a snowball right in my face. But what I could have controlled and could have learned is why he was doing that, and to appreciate myself enough to know that he's hurting inside and he's got some things probably going on with his family life, to be honest, that are not right, that he feels like he needs to lash out and attack other people. Had I known that, and had I had a good foundation like that, and a respect and love for myself to know it's not about me, I shouldn't feel any less about myself. He should feel less about himself. And I hope that he figures out, or she figures out whatever they need. Had I had that, it would have made the difference. So going back to it, whether it's physical bullying, whether it's people beating you up on LinkedIn or Instagram or Facebook, the variable is always you're inside here. How do you process it, right? We always talk about it's not what happens to you in life. It's how you deal with what happens to you in life that matters the most.
And let's not be hypocritical, right? Like we mentioned the fact that, you know, the great thing about LinkedIn and social media in general, the internet, is the fact that we can find like-minded people. I also believe that the flip side happens. You know, we might go through struggles. We might have like those tough days, things happen, but we can still find, you know, places online where we can get support in a way that we've never had before. We can find people that have been treated the way that we've been treated,
yes,
bullied the way that we've been bullied.
Right.
You know, have those like nerdy habits that you know we have. I remember like growing up, like we had like the Yahoo like discussion boards and like all of those different places that we could turn to. And now like the way that the internet's evolved, like it even goes even deeper into niches where you can literally find anybody that's interested in the same thing as you anywhere around the world. So, you know, I think it would only be fair to say the inverse as well. You know, the probability of getting bullied is higher, but also the chances of finding somebody that, you know, has gone through the same experience as you is also significantly greater. So
exactly, man. You got to look at the pros and cons. You can't, me and Brian were talking about this before the show. It's like when they first invented the cars, like there were people like, oh, people are going to get in car accidents and people are going to die. And people still do. Every single day people die from cars. But there's a lot of pros that come from being able to hop in a car and go somewhere quickly. And the same with flying. So it's all about how do you maximize the pros? Like if you need the groups and you need the support and this kind of stuff that we're doing here, making real relationships, friends, how do you maximize that? And how do you minimize some of the cons that come with it? Because there's always trade-offs.
I have to ask because it was a hot topic on the documentary from what I hear, because I didn't see it. But it talks about how we're a product. And I have such a tough relationship with that question because these things are free. You know, it's not like we're not paying to play. We're not paying to be a part of them. You know, we're allowed to put our content up for free in a way that we've never had before. All of us have an opportunity to have a show like this where people can hop on and we can create ourselves. We can, where before it was like Hollywood was kind of like the one that would control who comes in and who comes out. So, there has to be a discussion about that. Like, I don't view us as a product. I view all of this as an opportunity. It's all free. If you had to pay to get in, you could make the argument, but it's just, I don't know. What's everyone's thoughts about that?
I think we are in the eyes of those companies, because if you think about it, and I actually fell asleep in the documentary. I'm not going to lie, at points. And I woke up, I think I did like 10 minutes and then woke up and Sophie was like, it's finished. I was like, oh, okay. But what I did watch of it was the platform is designed to get you back on the platform so you can spend as much time on there. As a result, they do see you as a product or as a vehicle, rather, to make more money, to show you ads, etc. So I think they do view us that way, but we view it as an opportunity, like JP said. But I do think that they are less, there's loads of data around this. You pull out a story in the press and you talk about how one person did one thing or about how 100,000 people did one thing. It becomes less human when you talk about 100,000 because it's just a number. And I think to those companies, we are just a number, period.
Yeah, they're selling attention. They're selling awareness. So they're trying to draw as many people as they can to these platforms and keep people on there as long as they can. So they can either sell you their service or products, or they can sell your attention to advertisers. But we all know this. It's not a secret, So it's like we're all on here right now. We know LinkedIn's doing their thing. They're selling premium. They're selling some ads. So it's either like, are you okay with that trade-off? And if you are, make the most of it and don't even worry about it. It really doesn't matter. You see an ad once in a while. Is that really that big of a deal? And so as long as they're not stealing super private information from us, but then, then use it to your advantage. Use all the good that comes with these tools that allows you to build relationships and grow your business and build your brand. That's how I see it. If you don't want to be a part of it, don't be a part of it. Just don't go on if that's how you feel about it. So that's my take.
I'm about to blow all of your minds.
Oh, God. Here we go.
3. Disney is a business. Tinkerbell wants your dollars. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what company it is.
Yeah.
Even the ones that we put all of our magic and romanticize, that it's like, oh, well, they're different. It's like, when you go on a date with a girl and you want, to expand the relationship, you want all of her attention. When you're cultivating a relationship with a client, you want their attention. Yes, there's a part of us that is authentic and wants to build a real relationship, but there's a selfish side to it as well. I don't blame any of these companies for having their own their own motive. We all have our own motives. I'm grateful that they give us a place that we could do it for free. That part to me is amazing.
Well, if they don't have a motive, then we're all not here right now. So let's just be honest. It's like, oh, you're trying to sell. It's like, well, this platform wouldn't exist without that. So what would you rather have? Every business needs your money. They need your attention. It's just, as long as it's a positive thing for the most part, it's part of doing business, I remember when I was selling in college, I was selling for Sears. I was selling appliances and stuff. And I was selling this lady, I was trying to get her to buy the service agreement. She's like, you're only selling me the service agreement because you guys make money off it. And I'm like, well, no disrespect, but why else would you sell something? Of course we make money off it, but let me tell you why it still makes sense for you. So it's just, people have to kind of adjust their mindset sometimes and realize that, look, we all buy and sell things. These are businesses, and we can do it in a respectful, positive way while we still make a difference while we're here. But at the end of the day, we got bills to pay. We got kids to take care of. We got family to look after. We want to do fun stuff. And so business is business.
Alex, I'm curious to know your opinion about this, because you on it earlier, but this idea that we weren't taught certain things in school, and as a result, we don't have to deal with it. But think about it like this: the conversation we're having today, and in general, this conversation around social media, we're all blaming someone else. Oh no, it's their fault that they don't monitor our usage and they don't send us a notification when we go above 20 minutes per day. It's
rubbish.
Actually all a lack of accountability, which is a big problem in the world that we live in today. And I'm not right? But it's just hilarious that we're having a conversation about this when it's on you.
Yeah, totally.
It is a tool. How you use it ultimately, right?
Yeah, I've never even met somebody that said that. I would definitely disagree with the fact that somebody else should remind you not to be on a platform. I think that's where you have to take ownership. And I think, to be honest, it should start in the household if it can, right? The problem is a lot of people come from households that aren't going to teach them that stuff. And so we need something a structure to build around. And what better structure than would be than school, because everyone's got to go. So you might as well teach that stuff. So someone's going to come along one day and disrupt, that industry, disrupt the organization in a positive way. And they're going to say, we need to learn the things that are most important at our core to being successful at anything. Do you guys realize how mind-blowing that is? That the most important ingredient to success, we don't even teach, don't even touch on it. Work ethic, confidence, ability to overcome failure, ability to network. Like, we don't, when your taxes, like, we don't teach any of that stuff in school for 18 years. Literally the most important things that you'd want to know as an adult, we don't even touch. No one says anything about it. Does that not blow your mind?
Yeah.
That's crazy, guys.
Back to
That's crazy,
Dimitri's
guys.
comment above. Dimitri was talking about that's why parents need to get involved in the school systems. That's why we have to be on these school boards, get involved in local politics.
But Brian, 80% of parents don't roll that way. So there's got to be some, I mean, that's great, but 80%, a lot of kids are growing up in households where they don't have active parents, or they're out doing stuff, or they're not there. So we have to, somebody's got to take charge, but we need to build it into the process of the school. So even if they come from the worst household ever, they still get to school and they still learn these core things that are going to help them succeed in life.
Yeah. And I think the reason that there's an issue with social media is probably because of what you just described. It's more of a universal, like a parenting issue. This is not a technology concern. This is like,
right, how
do we give our kids the maturity to be able to deal with social media like a mature person? And
Bingo.
That's what doesn't work. That's what's not there.
Bingo. That's it.
I mean, like, it's funny because if you think about it, like, imagine having to teach, like, we are still learning how to, as humans, because social media is so new, how to deal with haters, how to deal with trolls, etc. Now you have to teach that lesson to your kids early on about the concept of people aren't necessarily always going to like you for you.
Rob, that's been there since the beginning of time, though, dude.
But it's magnified now, because before before it was Tom in the playground, Susie in class. Now it's Jim sitting in London in his flat alone. Like, do you get what I mean? It's just so magnified. So now being able to have those tools is more important because it's going to be more intense, especially as you pop, right? Because JP, as Brian and myself, LinkedIn coach, right? You just said the game is attention. How you get attention sometimes is to be, I wouldn't say controversial, but polarizing. And with that comes good, because you're going to attract people who align with your message, but also bad because you're going to get hate. And people aren't necessarily ready for that. They haven't got the tools for that because we weren't taught it. Going back to Alex's point, I think it's interesting, man.
I mean, we're all trying to get attention, obviously. There's nothing wrong with getting attention for positive reasons. It's part of marketing. It's part of running a business.
Yes.
But I just think but on the flip side, we just don't teach enough about how to handle a lot of the cons that come with this. And to your point, Ravi, like, yeah, whether it's you're being picked on in school physically, or whether it's, Jim from the UK, either way, you have to know how to deal with that. And if you're good right here and right here, you pretty much can deal with anything that comes your way. Doesn't mean you won't get down. Doesn't mean you're not, battling through things and you have tough days. But if you're good, really good here and here, you pretty much can get through anything. Yeah. And so why don't we set everyone up for success? Like, imagine what would actually change. Suicide rates would go down. People that go on these killing sprees, I guarantee would go down. People would find success faster out of high school, out of college. Maybe they realize they don't even need to go to college. Like, do you guys realize the amazing things that would happen if we started teaching this stuff very early on?
I know, bro.
Alex Sheridan for president. 20.
I'm gonna give him a 6 out of 10 for his Trump impersonation. But before Travis brings him in, I want to ask a question, like, especially for whoever ends up joining us. I have noticed overwhelmingly Have any of you guys ever received a troll comment?
Yeah.
Yes.
Of course.
Yes.
Yes,
I want to
of
say
course.
I've received under 10 since I started in January. Are you guys all
Yeah.
under 10?
Yeah, for
Under
sure.
10.
Under 10.
Under 10.
Yeah,
Under 10.
isn't that crazy?
My belief, and I've seen it, is that women on LinkedIn get more negative comments
Yes.
than
I
males
agree
do.
with that.
Yeah.
More creepy DMs and
Oh, there's the creepy DMs are without a question. But I don't know if you guys have seen the viral post, Susan G. She posted the profile photo where it was like her like very professional photo, and then she took a new photo where it was like kind of Corona, like a COVID photo. It was like her hair kind of wet and not any makeup and just kind of like in some gym clothes, right? And the hate that she received from men saying that she was just trying to get attention blew my mind. And I put myself in her perspective and said, would they respond the same way if a guy did this? And yeah, for whoever joins us, I'd love to start that conversation.
Well, we're about to find out because we've got the full spectrum here.
Oh
He
my
may
God.
hold the unofficial record for the biggest LinkedIn addict. Here to
Oh.
talk about social media addiction, ladies and
It's Luke
gentlemen,
Matthews.
Luke Matthews is in
Luke.
the building.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Hey,
Look,
dog.
Good, man.
Good to see
How
you.
are
Luke.
you?
I knew
I'm
it
a
was
little-
Luke as soon
I'm
as
a
you
little
said
nervous.
addict.
I'm not gonna lie. I mean, wow, I have to follow JP.
He's got the green
You
screen
too.
going on and everything.
We
Yeah.
need a charity boxing match for you two, you know?
No, it's gonna come. Don't worry.
Should we
JP.
tell him the plan? We can tell him the
Yeah.
plan. You can tell him the plan.
Well, we do have. It's very fitting for what's happening here on this live stream. We're gonna do 24 hours live in a couple Saturdays on LinkedIn. We're gonna stream hop, and we're just gonna talk life. We're gonna talk LinkedIn. We're gonna algorithm hack. We're gonna
Love
show
it.
you. We're gonna create posts, create videos.
We're gonna
I'm gonna
roast
show
some
you-
posts.
We're gonna
Be on all
roast
your
some posts.
feeds.
I'm going to
We're
show
gonna be
you
on
how
your
everyone
feeds.
cheats on social media so you can feel free. Because that's part of this conversation too, guys. I think that when you go on Instagram and you go on LinkedIn and you see people with big numbers, a lot of people get insecure by that. And I think the reason I'm not insecure is because on Instagram, I spent 3 years looking at influencers, studying the likes, studying the comments, and realizing that most of it's a sham, right? Like, when you really dive into it, and most people don't realize it, most business owners don't realize that. And it's crazy to me when I know because I've studied it, I've seen the panels where these influencers buy likes, comments, they can buy reach. Like I could go right now and buy you 10,000 followers on Instagram, like right now, you know, and most people don't realize that, right? And I think that's part of the discussion too with teenagers and everyone is you're looking at these people that look like they have it all together. But it's all a game, isn't it? Because you're trying to get business, and it's just some people are gaming it better. And like you said, Alex, they're better equipped to deal with the hate and deal with the business side of it. Because to me, it's just all a game. That's why I don't take it.
Here's my belief about that. Now, like this started way before the laugh track on your favorite sitcom, a laugh track. Is it real laughter? Absolutely not. But it is put in place to basically tell you when you're supposed to laugh. And there's plenty of TV shows that have their live audience. Basically, they're instructed when to react, right? And how jarring has it been since COVID, not having live audiences cheering at your favorite game? It really makes everything seem a lot smaller, a lot less grand. And it's hurting the advertisers. The ratings are down because you don't have the atmosphere. And I feel that a part of our responsibility as, you know, social media individuals is to create atmosphere. You know, so a lot of what we do is entertainment, and I'm not against it. I do it myself because I understand that, you know, it's a part of the show. And you know, if Hollywood's been doing it since the beginning, then, you know, I support that.
But JP, that's two different conversations. I think that is like comparing sound effects in a video, right? Like you need sound effects, videos, movies, shows, because without it, the consumption of that is completely different. If you guys watch the Saturday Night Live when they did like the what's the news special they do, and there's no audience with those two guys, it's terrible. Like it's just horrible. So like it's not even the same show. So you have to have that audience in there, or you have to fabricate something to give the audience that same feel. I don't think that translates to the engagement stuff and all that though, because I don't think that doesn't change the experience in my mind for the user, for the consumer of that content. That's my take.
But I do. Go on, JP. Go on.
Yeah, like all I was gonna say is I think that people they still, when they see, I mean, like take PewDiePie on YouTube, or like Charlie on TikTok. Like Charlie on her profile puts like, I don't get the hype either. And I think that really speaks to it, because she's a very normal girl, but a lot of what makes her so popular is the fact that she's the #1 TikTok creator. And just being that title, just having that title elevates her. More people want to follow because they want to be affiliated or associated with this person. It's just like you see a restaurant with the line out the door for a mile long. Like all of those people, that could all be family. Who knows? But the point being is, all of a sudden now it's captured our attention, and we want to know more about it. We want to, I want to check it out. I want to see what the big deal is about. And I think that it does, like, mentally impact the way that we view things. Now, like, so we put things on a pedestal because we see, like the social proof. We see all of these people gravitating towards this thing. Like, there was actually a study done in the 70s, and I'll get the information about it, but it was basically, this guy did a study where everybody looked up at the sky, and all of the surrounding people, started looking up at the sky. And as the crowd grew, more people were looking up at the sky, and it was this incredible, crazy thing. But it's just, that's how people work. So I think there's something to be said about it.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you want the 5 stars, you got to make some gangster food. You got to make some good food, and then you got to service the hell out of people and keep them happy. And that's how you keep the long lines coming. And I think you can do it very organically. And I think you got to encourage people to have a vote and go say, hey, if you enjoyed tonight, do you mind give us a review? I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but I do think there's a certain element of like, you got to up your game to where, like, if you want to be the best restaurant in town, you have to make the best food. You have to have the best customer service. You have to. And I think that's all. I think that's the recipe. That's my take.
But then there is, if you think about nightclubs, right? So why is it that they'll wait on the launch night? Their queue is ridiculous. Yeah. There's nobody even in the club. So the perception, the psychology is, oh my God, that club must be great because the line is so long. But if you get in there and it's rubbish, and your customer service is bad, the music is rubbish.
Excellent point.
Yes.
Excellent point.
You're not coming back. Right.
Yeah, that's why you still have to be good, right? Like you can market who you are, but once people realize, oh, you're not funny, or your content sucks, like they're gonna stop following you, no matter how good your banners are or your intros are. Like, and I think that's the thing about marketing. Like, I'm fine for all of it. Go for it. If you want to create a big show and get people in the door, and like you were saying, like, I don't have a problem with any of these algorithms or social networks, because to me, like, we know what we're signing up for. And I think you could make a case that maybe the age, that you can join should be bumped to 16. Like, maybe there needs to be more research in there for pushing the age back. Like, I could get behind that, but I don't want government intervention on social media any more than it already is. Like, I've been on Facebook and Instagram. Like, I couldn't post what I post on there. And it's already creeping into LinkedIn this week. So I think it's a tough one, right? I think regarding the age, I'm all for that. Bump it up to 16. But everything else, like, I want people to decide for themselves, like, what content they enjoy, what creators they enjoy. And there's always going to be gray hat and people pushing the boundaries, and it's never going to be perfect. That's just what I think,
Right.
Well, I think what you and Ravi said is you have to capture the attention. So that's where the thumbnails and the face mask and all the creative stuff that we do in the first 3 to 5 seconds and the banners and all that stuff. That's what that stuff's really good for, because it captures someone's attention. It gets them to stop the scroll. It gets them to stop when they're walking, by the street and they see that long line. It captures their attention. But then quickly, to Ravi's point, you have to deliver the goods once they give you their attention. So once you get in the club, or you get in the restaurant, or you get in the piece of content and it's not any good, then you've just destroyed the whole point of grabbing their attention. Their point of grabbing their attention was to convert that into a fan, a customer, a part, whatever it is. So you've got to deliver. The messaging has to be really good. The customer experience has to be really good. The level of feedback that you show the people that come in and gratefulness that you have for them being there in the first place has to be there for sure.
I'm curious to hear from somebody whose content doesn't do what it says on the tin. Brian, can you give us more info?
And for the blooper reel of the day, dang, Brian slays it though. He does a really nice job with his interviews are on point. Today I was literally laughing, I was smiling, I was getting information from it. I was like, it was like the trifecta today. It was good.
Yeah, Ravi won't be featured in anymore. My future interview. But actually, Luke Matthews and I will have a video coming soon to a newsfeed near you. That is good stuff coming. And actually, John too. I got some videos of John coming out. Pretty spicy.
Wait for your biggest hit.
Yeah,
I want my crown back.
Yeah, we'll see who wins.
I'm only joking with you, Brian. Your content is beautiful.
I know. So I do want to talk about the whole government intervention thing. And I think that like Ravi could drink at 18 and look where that's taken his life. But over here in the US, we had to wait till 21. And there's a really good reason for that is because researchers kept finding that between that range of 18 to 21, kids were dying like at an alarming rate. And the same thing is happening with these young girls. And this was highlighted on that Social Dilemma documentary. And it requires parents to get involved and understand what is happening at the school level. Are there cyber bullies in the school? How do they combat that? And I think, I don't love government intervention as a general thing, but I think when we're talking about 12-year-old young girls who are killing themselves because of what's happening to them on social media, there is no luckily this hasn't happened to one of us personally, but if it did, we'd have a lot stricter stance on the fact that we need to figure out as a society, where is that spot where it's like, okay, we have too many teenagers dying in car accidents now. I think the government is not involved enough, actually.
Yeah, I think the age limit is obviously, you could look at the data and probably debate that. There's probably an opportunity there. Who knows? But for sure, to go back to, not to beat a dead horse, but I think a lot of it goes back to how are we raising these kids in the schools and giving them the foundational belief and the confidence and the self-esteem and just the ability to handle all this stuff. Because even if you raise the age, then they just got to deal with it at 18 instead of 16. Doesn't mean they're any more equipped to deal with it. It may prevent some things for sure.
Well, I think they are more equipped to deal with it at a later age, just like driving.
But like we just said, we're 30s and 40s and late 20s, and we're still not super equipped to deal with it until recent. So it's like you can put a Band-Aid on it, and that's sometimes Band-Aids are great, but how do you fix the core issue, which is people are looking at somebody else and they're comparing them to themselves, which is not the right thing to do. They're looking at other people's validation to make them feel good about themselves, which is not the right thing to do. And they're getting bogged down when someone, says a nasty comment to them, which I understand, but it's not, once you understand yourself and you understand this world a little bit better and the psychology of how our brains are wired, none of that stuff. If I got a bad comment today, guys, I generally could care less. Like if it was a real comment from someone I knew or there was some validity to it, then maybe I would take it to heart and be like, damn, I did come across that way, or that's true. I would reflect. But if it's just a nasty comment, like, oh, you think you're this or that, I'm like, I could care zero. But that wasn't the case maybe a few years ago, and it certainly wasn't the case when I was 14, 18, 21. I would have been like, dang, that sucks, right? So that's part of maturity, but why can't we teach that earlier on?
I think that LinkedIn's kind of found the answer to the solution, right? Like, I believe that one of the biggest problems is that people can be anonymous. They can hide behind a username. They can hide behind like a different profile photo where like we've already discovered on LinkedIn, it's like it kind of like cleans itself because you have a reputation here. So I think that,
Yep.
you know, if you eliminated usernames, you know, which that's a controversial thing in itself, you know, but if you eliminated something like that and it kind of like forced people to be themselves and be held accountable, like the same way that our bosses can see our content, if teachers could see their students' content, you know, and again, that's like a crazy thing. I'm just thinking about it right now. But if LinkedIn has found a way to kind of like monitor it, like so many of these people are not like fully grown adults. We're barely fully grown adults and we still think like kids, you know, and especially like when you do see some of the people that do get political on LinkedIn, it's like they're like children. They're literally children, right? So, you know, I just feel like they're not that highly evolved from when they were in high school. So even if we took a step like that and just remove some of the like the anonymous side of it, you could begin the process of eliminating some of these bullies.
Well, that does it, ladies and gentlemen. A good discussion on Lead, Laugh, Love about the good, the bad, and the amazing of social media.
Hey, thank you guys so much. Hope you enjoyed another episode of Lead, Laugh, Love. Please let us know what you think of the show. This has been actively growing and evolving and shifting every week, thanks to you guys. So please go ahead and connect with all of these legends and follow, subscribe, all of the fun things to stay involved here. And we hope to catch you next week for the next episode of Lead, Laugh, Love. Thank you guys so much. Take care.